Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. In today's session we are talking about the grammar essentials for fill in the blanks reading section. We are looking at some grammar rules that you're mostly gonna use in the exam because honestly speaking, when it comes to grammars, the number of rules is unlimited. So let's try to narrow it down and find out what are the rules that you are most likely going to use in the test. Let's get started quickly with the first very basic rule that you have to be aware of is the subject-verb agreement. What is the subject-verb agreement? In English, there is an agreement between the subject and the verb, and this agreement must be maintained in any sentence as per the given rule. For example, if you look at this sentence here, the dog chases the cat. So dog is my subject, which is singular. I've got one dog. The verb here will be, I would say, just to make it easy for you to memorize, the verb will come with S. Yeah. So the dog, one dog chases. The verb with S. Okay. And when you get the subject in plural, dogs, the verb will come in the base form. The dogs chase the cat. Okay. So this is the first basic rule that you have to be aware of. How could this help you in the exam? Very simple. If you get some writing here and you have the empty gap, and if this gap must be filled with a verb, check the subject. If the subject was singular, then you are looking at the options for a verb with S. Yeah, something like this. However, even for this rule, there are some like sub rules or mini rules that you have to be aware of, still within the subject-verb agreement. For example, it's written here, a phrase or a clause between subject and verb does not change the number of the subject. What does it mean? Take a look. A can of lima beans sits on the shelf. So as you see, the verb comes with S, which means my subject is can, which is singular. Okay? Don't be bothered by this phrase in the middle of lima beans. This doesn't make you put a verb without S, sit. It's wrong, yeah? So this verb sits belongs to the subject can. And that's what I meant by a phrase or a clause between subject and verb doesn't change the number of the subject. So as I mentioned, the verb sits agrees with the subject can, not with beans. Or here, another example. The women who went to the meeting were bored. So were belongs to the subject woman. I've got a plural here, so obviously the verb must be were. And the verb, as I mentioned, agrees with woman, not with meeting. Okay, that's something you have to be aware of. Still within the subject-verb agreement, the indefinite pronouns as subjects. Example, each does a good deal of work around the office. So each, such as like indefinite pronouns such as each, either, neither, one, no one, nobody, nothing, anyone, all the way, this one will be treated as a singular subject. Then the verb will be singular or comes with S. Okay. Still within the subject-verb agreement, the plural form subjects with a plural meaning take a plural verb. For example, scissors, trousers. Yeah? The scissors are on the table, even though you're looking at one piece of scissors, but it is all the time in a plural meaning. Or the trousers, one trousers, it's all the time in a plural meaning. Okay? Sometimes no, like when you say the pair of scissors is on the table, because is here referring to the pair. Yeah? So this is something you have to be aware of. Another one within the subject and verb agreement, the subject and subject complement. Sometimes in a sentence we could get a subject and a subject complement. The verb all the time has to agree with the subject itself, not the subject complement. Example, my favorite topic is poems by Longfellow. The main subject here is topic. This one is subject complement, yeah? So is has to agree with topic. Another example to make it a bit clearer, poems by Longfellow are my favorite topic. are doesn't have to agree with this subject complement. It has to agree with poems, which is the main subject. Still within the subject-verb agreement, one of those, we use a plural verb. Like here, Hannah is one of those people who like to read comic books, which means that others besides Hannah like to read the comic books. It's Hannah and other people. So all of them together are plural. Okay? So that's why the verb comes in the base form. But if it was only one of those, here we have to treat the subject as singular. Hannah is the only one of those people who likes to read comic books. The above example implies that no one else except for Hannah likes to read comic books. Therefore, the singular verb is the correct to use. Okay? So this is related to the subject-verb agreement. Please watch this video once and twice. Try to note down the rules because you are most likely going to use them in fill-in-the-blanks reading and writing, because recently fill-in-the-blanks reading and writing questions are more based on a grammar skills. Another one, this is one of the most important tips or rules you could use in fill-in-the-blanks, which is related to parallel connection. What is parallel connection? We are looking at a similarity of a grammatical form for similar elements of meaning within a sentence or among sentences. What does this mean? If two or more ideas are parallel, they should be expressed in parallel grammatical form. Let me take you and show you an example. Here. This one is a wrong form. This one is the right form. Abused children commonly exhibit one or more of the following symptoms: withdrawal, rebelliousness, restlessness, and they are depressed. Wrong. Because those three words or phrases or whatever, one, this is an adjective. Two, this is an adjective. So the third one or the last one in your list must be an adjective. You can't put a sentence. Yeah? You can't put an independent clause because they won't be parallel anymore. So in the exam, you could get this one as an empty gap and you have both options, depression and they are depressed. The correct answer is depression. Why? Because 1, 2, 3, all of them are adjectives, which means they are in parallel. And this is what we meant by similar elements. Yeah? If it was adjective, the three of them have to be adjectives, and so on. Another example. Sam is responsible for stocking merchandise, writing orders for delivery, and sales of computer or computers. Wrong. Why? Stocking, okay. Writing, okay. So present participle, like the verb with ing. Those two verbs must be in parallel with another verb here. You can't just put sales of computers. It doesn't work. You are breaching this rule. So the correct answer will be stocking, writing, and selling. Again, you are going to face this in fill-in-the-blanks reading and writing. You will get to sell, sales, selling, sold, for example. Okay, so make sure you apply the parallel connection by looking all the way around the gap itself and obey the rule. Another example, I think, yes. At Lincoln High School, vandalism can result in suspension or even being expelled from school. Wrong. Wrong. Because here we've got a phrase, yeah? Here we've got a noun. They are not in parallel. You gotta make sure that the sentence has got a parallel form. The right answer will be suspension, noun, or even expulsion, noun too. And this is how you're gonna maintain the parallel structure. Again, in fill-in-the-blanks reading and writing as well, you will get both options and you have to choose the correct one. How to do so? Make sure that your option is in parallel with the context all the way around. Another example as well, because this is the most important topic. Mother could not persuade me that giving is as much a joy as to receive. Wrong. Here, receive must be in parallel with giving. So the right answer would be giving is as much a joy as receiving. Even though too many of you could say receive because it is more friendly to the ear. Yeah, but that's wrong. Yeah, you are breaching again this rule. Make sure you guys make it parallel, and all the time, I've said it 3 or 4 times so far, all the time make sure you check the context all the way around. Those are some examples for parallel connection from real exam questions, like here. This one was empty gap. When I solved it, I selected events, which was correct. So the reason I said events, if you read this sentence all the way till the end, for example, events and human characteristics. So plural form. So the parallel connection shouldn't only be in terms of the verbs or the adjectives or the phrases, even the form of the noun. So events and human characteristics. So as long as you know that this one, human characteristics, is a plural one, you're gonna check the options and try to find out which plural form fits here. Another example. If you read this one, however, little information all the way, their cooling potential and how certain planting combinations may maximize cooling under a scenario of low rainfall and minimal water inputs. Low here goes in parallel with minimal. Yeah, they are both adjectives. Okay, parallel connection. This is a real exam questions, by the way. Another one here, it could be in terms of the tense of the verb. The many ways in which tradition had already been challenged and shaken. So I've got here had already been. I'm looking at a verb in the third form. I've got challenged in the third form and gap. This one, another verb. You check the verbs that are in the third form, or what's known as a past participle, and you make sure it is in parallel. Another one, in terms of the present participle, the situation has encouraged the growth of IP law and prompted increased industrial concentration on extending and policing IP protection. Extending, verb plus ing, policing, verb plus ing. Okay, so once you know that this one is a verb with ing, you look at the options underneath for the verb with ing and you check if it makes sense, then you go ahead. Parallel connection, we spent a lot of time on that topic because it is one of the most important topics. Make sure you watch this video twice so that you get familiar with this rule. Another grammar rule I want to talk about today is modal verbs. What are modal verbs? Yes, will, would, can, could, may, might, must, ought to, shall, should. A modal verb is followed by a verb in the base form. For example, the train will arrive early. Whether it was train or trains, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a modal verb, the main verb afterwards should be in the base form. The train will arrive. The train will leave. Yeah? The teacher should attend. Yeah? Or the teachers should attend all the time in the base form. Which means if you've got a sentence with a modal verb followed by empty gap, you are looking at the verb in the base form from the given options. Another one, guys, the to infinitive. The to infinitive is followed by a verb in the base form. Okay? For example, here, if we read this sentence all the way to the end, and evolve to traverse. To traverse. This is a verb in the base form, yeah? To eat, to help. I'm here to help you. Okay? So this is a very straightforward rule. Make sure you don't mix. Another one. These, those, this and that. Use this and that for singular nouns. These and those used for plural nouns. For example, these legal eagles. So I've got eagles here So this one will be these. Yeah. Who are the first to rise to this level. So in the exam, you could get this one, a gap, empty gap. As long as you've got this, you know that you are looking at a singular noun. You check the singular nouns you've got and you select it as the right option. We're still talking about the determiners a and an. The determiners a and an are followed by a singular noun. There's always a chance. Yeah? I bought a table. So when you get the determiner a or an and you have a gap after, check for the singular nouns. This one actually, I did find it a very common pattern in fill in the blanks reading. I did read probably 40 questions of fill in the blanks reading, and I found this, I would say it's a rule or something very common in fill in the blanks reading and writing PTE. It is about the listed adjectives that belong to a plural noun. Take a look here. These substances, which are continuously going into air, water, and soil, bring about undesirable changes in physical, chemical, and biological aspects. So in the exam, or in the questions that I was solving, in that question, this one was a gap, it was empty. As soon as I noticed 3 adjectives in a row, physical, chemical, and biological, I said that most likely this one will be a noun in the plural form. Okay, so this is something to consider when you get adjectives in a row followed by a gap. This gap could be a noun in the plural form. Articles. So we did talk about a and the, this, etc. What if we don't have an article? And this is something you could use in write from dictation, by the way, when you are confused whether the noun you've heard was singular or plural. When there is no article, then most likely the noun is plural. Yeah? The difference in views is so great because it will be very indefinite and general. Yeah? So if you have the difference in gap, you have a gap here, most likely this one is a noun in the plural form. You check the options based on that. Okay? And this is a real exam question, by the way. Are the visions of those in power are so clouded by special and particular interests? Okay? Again, no article, it will be a plural noun. I think, guys, yeah, this is what I wanted to share with you regarding the grammar rules that you could mostly use in this task. We still have some approach that you have to follow. I did talk about it in a previous video. I thought to remind you about it, how to approach this task. First of all, read the options. Yeah? Scan the options, then read the passage. You're gonna scan the text and only read thoroughly the sentence to which the blank belongs. If I got 5 lines, a paragraph of 5 lines, I don't have to read it word by word. I would scan it, read it quickly, but only slow down at the gap itself and the sentence around. Okay? Make sure you understand the text, as this will make it easier and quicker for you to select the right answers. Number 4 is very, very important. If you get stuck at one blank, move to the next one. Don't waste your time at that gap, because this will make you very nervous, pissed off, and probably you're gonna end up making a lot of mistakes in this single paragraph because of that gap. So if you get stuck at one blank, move to the next one. Leave the challenging blanks till the end. It could be solved by elimination, though. Yeah? Guys, don't be deceived. Yeah? A short passage with fewer blanks is not an easy one. What I realized is that the shorter the passage, the harder. Oh, yeah? Make sure to pay extra care to the passage when it has blanks close to each other. When the gaps are very close to each other, there's a big risk of making one mistake in one gap makes you again make another mistake in the other gap. So one mistake in gap 1 could be carried forward into gap 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? If you need to know more about this approach, which is called the critical thinking approach, make sure to watch my previous videos. I will not solve the questions here because I've already done them in a previous video. Yeah, this is what I wanted to share with you today. Please, guys, watch the video once and twice. I hope you enjoyed it, and wait me with other videos. Bye.